Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode here on the 5571 podcast. My name is Danny, and for those that don't know, this is a podcast all about what's new and what's happening at the Disneyland Resort. And what a week it's been. We have quite a bit of news to talk about on this episode. I was just going to be able to discuss my experience at the Lunar New Year Festival this past weekend. However, there's been a lot of news that dropped today and some new openings over at Downtown Disney, so I wanted to discuss it all. So it might be a little bit of a longer episode, but that's okay. I was going to have Mondo join me on this week's episode, but we couldn't get some of the audiovisual technical stuff worked out for having him join on. So we're going to try again next week on that one. So it'll just be me for today. And then we can do a little bit of group discussion if you guys want to follow us over on his YouTube channel, Five Fires. And we're going to be doing, of course, Speculation Sunday. But in addition to that, I will also be doing a X Spaces, which is formerly Twitter. Mondo's going to be hosting a Spaces over on X. It'll be myself, him, and Scott Gustin. And we'll be discussing also some of the news that dropped today. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into all the news before we go into our feature presentation this episode, where I talk about my experience at Lunar New Year Festival. Okay, so let's get into the news at Disney Parks blog today. They dropped a huge update for the hotels at the Disneyland Resort. And before I get into everything, I wanted to just pull it up so we can read it together and I can show you some of the photos. So let me do that now for you. Let me pull over here. Here we go. And here it is. This was a new update that came out from Disney Parks blog. It says exciting new additions coming to the hotels of the Disneyland Resort. More specifically for Disneyland Hotel and for the Grand Californian Hotel. But we got this update here, starting off first over at the Grand Californian Hotel. We have two new updates coming for that. It's going to be a total renovation change for the Napa Rose and a change and update for things that have to do with their concierge lounge. But first, let's start here with Napa Rose. So Napa Rose is probably one of the best restaurants at Disneyland Resort, period. Definitely at the hotel. But the cool thing about Napa Rose is when it opened in 2001 with Disney's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa, it hasn't really changed. The design and interior has really stood the test of time, which really plays a lot into its arts and crafts style, right? Arts and crafts style is really timeless. And, the Grand Californian Hotel itself is designed after the arts and crafts movement. And that design kind of era or style is really just, really timeless. Like you can have anything just look amazing like that for years and years and years. Right now, the Napa Rose is very bright. It's very, it can be very feminine in some of the design choices. They have a lot of rose motifs inside, but it is very bright. Maybe not always the most romantic of settings. And I think with this new version here, which you can see now, is really showing a more romantic, dark, and more masculine style for the restaurant. They've got wood here that they've said in the article that's been the same kind of wood that you would use to make wine barrels. Napa Rose is all about its wine. In fact, a lot of the waiters and waitresses at the restaurant are sommeliers or sommelier trained. So there's a heavy emphasis on wine at Napa Rose, and there always has been. They have their own wine room when you first enter the restaurant. But you can see this updated interior is gorgeous. It's a lot darker, like I said. It's a little bit more of a romantic setting. And I feel like it's going to really frame the window that leads out to DCA so much nicer than it has now. Right now, when you're in the restaurant, a lot of times you can't really see outside. You can really see inside very well with, when you're in the parks into the restaurant, but not necessarily from the restaurant into the parks. But yes, this change is going to be happening pretty soon. According to the article, they're going to be closing this spring, and then they're going to reopen later in the fall. So there's quite a lot changing in not that little bit of a time. So it's going to be pretty fast over there. And I'm not sure if this also affects Storytellers Cafe, because they do have a connected kitchen. But of course, as you know, Napa Rose does have a show kitchen, which is on display, but some of the other stuff that happens at the back is connected with the Storytellers Cafe. So that could be, or that could mean, some closures over there too. But they're not outlined in this article just yet. So something to keep an eye out for that. But I'm very, very, very interested and what this will look like. I love this photo now that they showed us. It's beautiful. So I'm looking forward to seeing the end result myself in person, and we'll definitely be trying to go there once it reopens. But let's skip ahead and the rest of this article to the other Grand Californian change, which is here. This is the brand new secondary concierge lounge at Disney's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa. Now, the Grand Californian actually just went through a renovation for its concierge lounge not that long ago. It was originally called the Craftsman's Club and since changed its name to the Veranda. The Veranda is much nicer than the Craftsman's Club was, definitely expanded as far as the use of the space and how it's laid out, but it still suffers a problem that both of the concierge lounge suffer at Disneyland Hotel and the Grand Californian Hotel, which is that they feel closed in and maybe not big enough to accommodate the amount of guests that want the service at the hotels. So this is kind of Disney's answer to that and bringing in a little bit more space for those guests. So if you're standing outside the club on the 6th floor of the Grand Californian Hotel just off the lobby, you'll find the entrance to the Veranda, and then directly behind you will be a spiral staircase that goes down from floor 6 to floor 5. Now, typically, right at the bottom of that staircase, there's a little door to your right that leads out to a balcony that anyone can access when it's not being used for private events, and typically just overlooks the pool area with the park in the distance, aka Grizzly Peak, and then Guardians of the Galaxy, which you can see actually here in this photo. But essentially, that's an outdoor patio. Right now, it's used for fairy tale weddings, sometimes wedding receptions, full-on wedding ceremonies are up there. They host exercise classes like yoga in the morning for the hotel guests, or it's just an open space that guests can sit in that are staying at the hotel. It is just off the lobby area. It has a beautiful, massive window, just like this one, but on the other side, which you can't see here in this photo, that faces into the lobby and is a great way to just look in and see everything. But this is an outdoor space. So you can see here, this is very much not outdoors. It's closed in. So Disney would close in this whole entire space and make it much larger and almost double story here with this like upper level. These beautiful stained glass windows that they don't currently have now. And it would be essentially a secondary auxiliary space for the concierge lounge, really giving it that extra room to kind of expand and move out into another space that's just in addition to the Veranda. So they don't say that this extra space has another name, but the Veranda Concierge Lounge is the name of the concierge lounge at the Grand Californian Hotel. And it just said that this is going to be like the treetops. So there's like the 5th and the 6th floors of the hotel will have this area where you can relax. And there is going to be some open air viewing here. I'm not sure. This is what I was trying to discuss with some of my friends. So technically, the fireworks are in this direction. So if this is high enough, you might be able to see some fireworks out of these open air glass parts in the top here. You definitely would not be able to see fireworks out here because down here's the pool. So no fireworks in this general direction, but maybe some like edges of fireworks right here. So the Veranda would still be the place to go because that has a direct view of the fireworks at the Veranda. But this lounge would maybe be a great space for you to get food and things. It looks like they've got a really nice food area over here that's probably double-sided. So you can do a lot of things here, and maybe even a bar for guests to get some drinks and things like that. It does talk about that here, but it is definitely a stunning new lounge. This will be open in 2026. That is a massive project, and it's going to be changing the actual exterior of the hotel, which is crazy because they haven't really done that in a while. So this will be a project to watch. And again, very, very amazing that they're going to be able to open this in 2026, especially with the detail and the craftsmanship that's going into this this new lounge addition. But it'll not only give them a secondary space for the lounge, but allow them to have a lot more guests have access to the concierge lounge, which probably is a decision for them that they're okay with getting rid of fairy tale weddings in this space because concierge lounge guests will pay much more over time than maybe a wedding here and there in the space instead. But it's beautiful. And I've never personally had concierge lounge access myself, just done a tour, but it looks great, and I would love to tour it once it's all done and open. And we'll certainly keep an eye on this project as it continues to unfold. But quite amazing. So now let's move on to the Disneyland Hotel, which is also getting updates in regards to its concierge lounge. So this is actually happening already. So the e-ticket club, which is the current name of the concierge lounge over at the Disneyland Hotel, is going to be closed for quite a while as they redo this. In fact, this doesn't even say in my from after reading it when the new one's going to open, but this is underway now. So e-ticket club is the name of the concierge lounge now, but the new name will actually be called the High Key Club. I don't necessarily know I like that name change. I really liked the e-ticket club. It meant like the best access you could get at the hotel, which is kind of what the e-ticket means, right? So I don't know. Not really a fan of the name, but love the new space. E-ticket club was very cramped, very narrow, but had the best views in the whole resort. You couldn't beat it. You couldn't beat it. The only issue it had was, again, not enough space. And also, they didn't have wraparound windows like this. In fact, there's a giant wall right here on this side, basically covering the whole left side for those that are listening to the audio only. So really, truly, only the left side windows in the upper concierge lounge area could view the fireworks. And everyone else kind of could only get like a side view of them, or they would all have to crowd behind the tables in that corner because, again, there was not wraparound windows. There's one additional room to the left of the club that would occupy that corner space on the upper floor there at the Disneyland Hotel, which was the Fairy Tale Suite. It was one of the presidential suites themed to like, a royal palace, had a lot of Cinderella vibes inside of it. A lot of guests who had their fairy tale weddings at Disneyland would also have their first night as a couple in that hotel room. So it had the beautiful wraparound windows. But now what they're going to do is they're going to take away the Fairy Tale Suite plus an additional suite on the other side and expand the lounge. And according to the article, this will almost double the space of the previous club level lounge. But more importantly, it'll give them that wraparound window view that they didn't have before, giving them so much more firework viewing than they had from pretty much any angle in the club. This just really gives every seat that perfect view. There's no longer a need to crowd against the window, and every guest can really just maximize their space. Another thing that was really hard in the e-ticket club, they only had small little round tables, kind of like the one shown in the artwork here, but they didn't have these extra booths and things that they're showing in the current artwork now. And for those that are listening to the podcast, I'll put a link to the article so that you can visually look at it later while you're listening, so you can kind of see some of these photos and kind of visualize what I'm talking about. But if you are watching, I'm showing you the booths here. This is really great for families. Before at the e-ticket club, they were pushing tables together. It didn't always work for kids. Having kids in the booth is just so much easier as a parent, as a family, and having your kids all in one area to just kind of, sit and kind of station them. It's going to be a lot better for them overall and just allow so many more guests. So I think this is an excellent, excellent option. I'm also seeing too at the artwork, like it looks like some people are sitting up against what could be a bar, and then maybe they're giving drinks over here. So I don't know. We'll have to see, but it looks so much bigger than it did before, and I'm excited for this change. And again, this is already underway. The e-ticket club, which is located in the Adventure Tower, is forever gone. It's closed. Now it's going to be called the High Key Club. Currently, the e-ticket club, which is the name of the club now, is temporarily located in the Frontier Tower. So if you have concierge level access at the Disneyland Hotel now, it's going to be in the Frontier Tower until this is done. And this article doesn't say when that's going to be. So we'll keep an eye on this one as well too, and update as we find out some more things. But yeah, so look at those major changes coming to all the hotels at the Disneyland Resort. The last part of this update article was talking about some changes coming to the Pixar Place Hotel. More specifically, they were talking about the presidential suites. So as it stands now, the presidential suites at the Pixar Place Hotel never opened or debuted with the hotel in its brand new renovation. The previous hotel, which was the Paradise Pier Hotel, all of the presidential suites were themed to different beaches from California. So they had the Malibu suite, the Dana Point suite, I forgot the other name. I remember Malibu and I remember Dana Point, but I forgot there was the Huntington one as well. So they had, I think, 4 presidential suites at that hotel. And so they're debuting finally brand new suites at this hotel that are themed to different Pixar movies, which we thought might be the case, but they never revealed the signature suites there. So now we know. So in this artwork, we have the first signature suite being themed to Coco. And this looks to be the biggest suite from what I can see. I've been in the big suites at the Paradise Pier Hotel before, just via tour, never stayed in any of them. But the Malibu suite is the biggest one. And this one looks big, very big. So this is probably the former Malibu suite that's being turned into the Coco suite. So this new suite is really, done in like that Oaxacan Mexican style architecture. It has the fireplace. Of course, it's going to be like a digital fireplace, not real. But there's like cactus in there. They've got artwork all over the whole hotel room. They have Alebrije. They have his dog, which I forgot the name of. They've got artwork on the sliding doors that go into the bathrooms. It's a beautiful, beautiful suite. I would love to tour this. Definitely stay there as well too. But that's one of the 2 that they shared. The additional one that they showed was the Incredibles suite. This one looks to be a little bit smaller. I'm thinking maybe this might be the Dana Point suite, now changed to the Incredibles suite. And this one has that, of course, mid-century modern look that the Incredibles have. So very similar to what you see over in Pixar Pier, where the Incredibles or Incredicoaster is, and maybe even some of the stylings from Disney's Contemporary Resort over in Walt Disney World, and some of that mid-century modern look. So they kind of display this. For those that can't see, they describe it as mid-century design with a spy-fi twist. So it's like a dev tech businessman and superfan Winston Dever lends his striking home to the Parr family to live. Now he's designed the perfect getaway for the family. So this is like their spy home getaway. There's going to be the main area bedroom that is themed for the Parr parents. So Bob and Mrs. Parr. And then there's going to be an additional connecting room that's themed to Edna Mode. And they even said that outside the suite will be a scanning prop at the entryway with your hand, like scan your hand. So these will be very highly themed suites. There'll be like spy phones, hidden messages. So a lot of fun things. The Disneyland Hotel signature suites already did all these kind of fun things, but the Paradise Pier Hotel never had any of these in their theme suites. They were just very beachy and just nice, right? They weren't like anything Disney overall. But these are very heavily themed and definitely worth the money now that they'll be charging for these. So I don't feel like it really was before, but now it's going to be for sure. And these are the only ones that they've shared so far. There were more signature suites at the hotel, but I don't necessarily know that they still exist. They might be gone. I don't really know the layout of the hotel anymore as far as the signature suites. But these are the 2 they shared. Maybe they're still working on the other 2 and they're not ready to debut them yet, so they don't want to share any details. But so far, a Coco suite and an Incredible suite sounds pretty good. So, but those are all the hotel updates they gave us. They did also mention that the Grand Californian Hotel would be going through a renovation. For those that don't know, when you're in the hotel business, I was in the hotel business. Hotels go through what's called a hard goods and a soft goods renovation. A hard goods renovation is usually like every 10 years, and a soft goods renovation's like every 5 or so in between. Hard goods would be basically all of the hard lines in the hotel. So like basically the room layout, the furnishings, the bed, the bathroom fixtures, like basically full renovation, which we got in this hotel not that long ago. It was like 2017, 2018. So it's still really, really new. So the hotel is going up for its soft goods refurb. And they don't really call that out specifically in this article, but they do say that they'll begin refreshing all of their guest rooms and that they will add new carpets, upholstery, and bedding. So they're really telling you that this is a soft goods refurb in the article, but in their own way. So again, soft goods is going to be like the wallpaper, the paintings on the wall, the carpeting, the bedding, the style on the pillows on the couch, things like that are going to be refreshed in the room. And then the villas themselves, they should be receiving a hard goods refurb because when the hotel went through renovation in 2017, they did not. So they still had the original style that they were added in with when they were first added. They got a little bit of a refresh during that time, but they're going to do a much bigger refresh in those rooms now. So the regular Grand California Hotel rooms, they're still going to look this way. They're just going to be refreshed with some new carpeting, new pillows and accents and things, just to make them a little bit more plussed up than they were before. But it's really just a refresh of the room. It's not necessarily a full renovation. They did call out the fact that each room will have new artwork that was commissioned from local plein air painters, which is great. They're going to be using local artisans to make these like plein air paintings. This specifically isn't a plein air painting, but the perfect example of a plein air painting are all the paintings in the corridor that go from the hotel lobby to downtown Disney. All the paintings that are hanging in the wall there, those are what's called plein air paintings, and they were very prevalent in the arts and crafts movement and during that time era. So those paintings are why you see a lot of them all over like the Hearthstone Lounge and the lobby and the lobby corridors, because it's from that era. And so they're saying in this article here that they will be adding those to guest rooms as well. So that'll be a nice touch, because right now they kind of just have like plain artwork there. So it'll be nice to have paintings in the room again, kind of plussing up and bringing that up to a little bit more of a luxurious style than what it is now. But that wraps up the hotel segment and the update from that. What do you guys think? Isn't that amazing? All the things that they're going to be adding to the hotels totally caught me off guard. I was not expecting this update, and I'm really excited for it. Any changes at the hotels of the Disneyland Resort always get me excited. And next up, I wanted to talk about the brand new Wonderful World of Suites opening in downtown Disney. This also kind of took us by surprise. We didn't know when it was going to be opening. We just knew it was opening in winter of 2025, but we didn't know what that was. That could have been late December. That could have been early January. That could have been February or March even. So it kind of caught us off guard when they said it was going to be opening later in the week. And so I went ahead and ran over there, and I'll show you guys now some stuff I had taken when I went there. I did film a YouTube video about this too, which will also be going up on the YouTube channel. So lots of content for you guys to take over. But here's my Twitter, or X, formerly Twitter page. So here is a shot of the outside of the store with the doors open. A beautiful, beautiful interior and exterior on the store. They got custom like designs and things on the inside. This is very reminiscent of the birthday cake castle from Walt Disney World. I don't know if people picked up on that. And for those listening, I'm pointing to the kind of logo of the store, which is a castle made entirely of sweets. Kind of looks like a giant birthday cake almost. This is one of the cake pops exclusive to this location. They've got all these really kind of cutesy little characters that they've created for the store. Specifically, they all have names too. This one was called Fluffy, and it's basically cotton candy. There's a character for popcorn called Poppy. There was another one called Jimmy that was kind of themed to sprinkles, because sprinkles are called Jimmies. And then they had a few other characters too, but they have different desserts that are designed after them. And then here's Poppy on the popcorn, and this is the whole reason why you go there, in my opinion, which is this specific location. The reason why it's significant to me, anyways, is that it's going to be debuting with a caramel corn made from Werther's Original Caramel. Now, the reason why this is important is over at Walt Disney World in Epcot, in the Germany Pavilion, there's actually a store called the Caramel Kitchen, and it has a German name. It's like caramel and then U with an umlauts over it, CUCHE. I don't know how to say it in German, but it translates to Caramel Kitchen. And this location has this fresh caramel popcorn made with Werther's Original Caramel. And it is one of the best things I had at Disney World, the best treats ever. Just smelling it being made fresh, tasting it after it's made is just one of the best things ever. And I've never been able to replicate caramel corn as good as that. And so it was definitely something that quickly became a tradition for me, my family, and friends. When we'd go to Walt Disney World, especially Epcot, we'd always have to save room for a bag of caramel corn from the Caramel Kitchen. So I'm excited that we now have this at Disneyland. They're going to be serving the exact same popcorn. They're making it fresh right there at the shop. There's now 2 windows in the store that you can view them making candy. There's one to the left of the door and one to the right of the door. The right side one is the one that was always there when it was Marceline's Confectionery, just a lot bigger than what it was before. A much more expanded kitchen for them to make the majority of the sweets. And then the one on the left side, kind of closer to Sephora, that one is going to have the area where they make the popcorn. And they're only making the popcorn in that room, at least for now anyways. But the whole store itself is very, very big. They debuted some new candy in that store that hadn't been at the resort before, including a whole new line of villains candy and villains treats. We've always had different character things, but never villains. So a lot of people are kind of centered around that area, and you'll see in the video as well. When you watch that as it comes out later, there was a section that had like Cusco poison candy and like Ursula gummies and just a bunch of things that they didn't have before. But this was really exciting. It did open this Wednesday. It opened at 3 p.m. They had a little bit of a media kind of get together for it. They did a grand opening ceremony for both the Parkside Market in downtown Disney and this new store. And they got an early access to kind of look at some of it. They did also debut a brand new popcorn bucket for the location. You can actually kind of see it here in this photo if you guys are watching it on YouTube. The cast member here is holding it, and it's exclusively sold here. I think it's $29.99. It comes with the bag of caramel popcorn, and you get that special popcorn bucket of the character Poppy that is exclusive to this location. I see all the stuff here doing extremely well. And how awesome is this that you can get all the treats that you would get in the park plus exclusive stuff, especially something as good as that caramel corn, which normally you would have to go into Epcot, a theme park, to get. Now you can get in downtown Disney. There's no ticket to admission for this area. Just parking your car or just getting to the location and then walking over there. Any guest, even if you don't have a pass or access to Disneyland, can go to Disney Wonderful World of Sweets. So this is awesome, and I think this is going to do extremely well for Disney and make them a ton of money, which is, I'm sure, why they created it in the first place. But this, for those that don't know, is a new expanded location that used to be Marceline's Confectionery, but it's now the former dress shop location and the Marceline's Confectionery location combined into one larger location, allowing them to have so much more room to make candy and also sell it. So I'm excited to go back into this one and see it on maybe a less crowded day. And I already had the popcorn, and I can say it's as good as the Disney World version. So it lived up to the reputation. And I'm happy that I finally have that here now, and I don't have to just go to Epcot to be able to get it. I can get it here at my home resort. So I'm loving this. You guys should definitely check it out. And if you aren't a pass holder or a Magic Key holder, you can still come and try it out because it's in downtown Disney, so you don't have to go into any park to get it. And then lastly, for our Main Street topic, I wanted to talk about the Lunar New Year Festival. I actually posted a video of this on my YouTube channel already. I had a chance to go with Mondo from Five Fires YouTube. We got to experience everything you could experience at Lunar New Year Festival, and also got to try out some of the booth foods as well as some of the regular foods that are served in some of the locations and restaurants outside of the booths. And we had a really great time. I definitely recommend sharing the options that you get because everything's very, very shareable. The theme for us this year was definitely spicy foods. Lunar New Year Festival, Year of the Snake was coming through spicy at this food booth locations all around the festival. But we did try a few things. If you had listened to the podcast before, I had said that I wanted to really try the Legend of the 10 Spices flatbread over at Pim Test Kitchen. I said that I wanted to try the pho dip sandwich from one of the booths there on the marketplace. And then I also wanted to try the fire chicken wings. I did get to try all of those plus more. And everything we tried was amazing for the most part. Mondo didn't really like the fire wings, but, and that's why I wanted to have him on here, share his experience with that. They were, in fact, very, very spicy. I only ate one. He didn't even eat one. I ate the whole thing. But I definitely could not have eaten all three, because if I did, it would have been not a good experience for me later in the day. There would have been like probably some bad acid reflux or indigestion or something like that. But it was very, very, very spicy. So definitely bring some water if you're going to be trying those fire wings. Those fire wings were from the Red Spice Dragon Traders booth. That one's on the performance corridor just across from the Sonoma Terrace. I would rank that one probably my third favorite item from the event. But definitely my top item was probably the 10 spices flatbread over in Avengers Campus at the PIM Test Kitchen. This was not on the tasting card, so it's something that you have to order separately. But you can mobile order it, and it's definitely something that you want to share. This item was also very, 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 very spicy. And just be forewarned, there was like sriracha all over it. It had kung pao sauce. There was pepper threads on it. Like, there was just a lot of spice, right? It's coming through thick on it. It's a kung pao beef item. It's kind of like a smaller pizza, but it's definitely something you could share. But it was Legend of the 10 Spices flatbread, because it's kind of like a play on Shang-Chi for Lunar New Year and his movie Legend of the Ten Rings. So it was a very cool presentation. Very neat that PIM Test Kitchen was getting in on the Lunar New Year Festival fun. And this one ranked number one for me in my experience here at the festival. Number two for me was definitely 100% the banh mi over at Paradise Garden Grill. Now, this is not a new item at all at the festival. They've had this one for quite a while, but I don't know why. For this year, it was just really, really good. It was probably the best I've ever eaten it there. They didn't do any extra embellishments. I know one year they kind of like branded the bread with like a little Mickey. There was a bunch of different things, but this time it was just like a plain banh mi, and it was so good. Huge meat portions on it. Definitely, definitely recommend. You can get that one in a sip and savor portion size, and you can also spend $15 and get it in the full size portion as well. This is again over at the Paradise Garden Grill, which itself I think had 3 items that were sip and savor eligible. This was one of them. And then my third item again was the fire wings that I mentioned at the beginning. That was probably ranked number 3. We did try also the Kung Pao Bao from the Prosperity Bao and Buns booth next to Little Mermaid. That was a repeat item from previous festivals, and it was just mid for me. It wasn't that good. It tasted more like soy sauce, like teriyaki sauce, rather than Kung Pao sauce. It just was like almost too saucy, and not really all that enjoyable. It was okay. It was not something I'd probably repeat or recommend. So maybe skip that one. It seemed like everyone was getting the red panda bao that was at this booth as well, and they liked that a whole lot more. This was a similar item that was served in the Pixar Fest, but the version at this particular festival is much larger than that one. I was actually shocked at how much larger it was, which is weird to see Disney go in the opposite direction with making food larger rather than smaller, but in this instance, it definitely was. So that was a cool thing. Another thing that we got that was a repeat was the hot dog bun. Now, this has been there since the beginning of the Lunar New Year Festival. That's the sesame hot dog bun that's shaped like Mickey Mouse that has hot dogs kind of stuck in it all around. This one, I think I also put it on my Twitter. So let me pull that up. I did. I put it on my Twitter. So let me pull that up now for those that are watching. So this one was right here, as you can see. This has been a hit or miss, right? This one was something that people either hated or loved in past festivals. I've had it before. I've loved it, and then I've had it some years, and it's been dry and disgusting. You can see from this photo, this is not a dry-looking bread, right? It looks very buttery, very golden, really, really nice. And I think that's the difference this year. It tasted very croissanty. It was like very buttery, flaky. It complemented the hot dog really well. I didn't even need any sauce with it. It was like, I was shocked at how good it was, because this usually is not a good item. but it's much better this year, I felt like. So I was happily spending my points on this one here. It does come in at a price of $8, which is more than I think it's ever cost. I think I remember the first year they had it, it was like $5. So it's definitely gone up in price over the years. But you can use your Sip and Savor Pass at this. Now, when we were there on opening weekend, you could only get this item at the festival garden area right next to Paradise Garden Grill. They have an outdoor vending cart there that served this plus like an ube dessert. And those were there. But now you can get this bread at pretty much any of the outdoor vending carts in the festival space. So I think there's one over by Cars Land. There was another one just outside the Little Mermaid attraction, like by the Pandora jewelry store that's there now. That also had these as well too. So look for those outdoor vending carts that usually sell like the turkey legs and the hot dogs, and you'll find this bun. But I can tell you for sure, you can get it over at Paradise Garden Grill. And if you've had it in the past, I kind of recommend you doing it again because it's definitely a lot better. And then in addition to that, of course, they had the Mulan's Lunar New Year procession come back as well too. This was showing multiple times throughout the day. No changes here really, except for they had a whole new line of dancers that were in the show that weren't there in previous years. And then, of course, the last thing that I got for food was this, which was the Bodine sourdough snake for the Year of the Snake, because I always love their sourdough creations over at the Bodine Bread Factory. So I always go over there and get those. And this year I was excited to see that it was going to be a snake. So I was like, let me grab that. But that's basically all the foods I tried at the Lunar New Year Festival. And it's honestly, I feel like it was one of the better years. Nothing really new so much per se this year, but it was a solid festival, right? The Lunar New Year Festival in and of itself is one of people's favorite festivals that Disney offers during the year at Disney California Adventure Park. And this kind of just continues some of the best hits that we all know and love with the festival, and just added some new food items that we hadn't seen before. Now, I kind of wish we kind of replaced a lot of the menu items rather than bringing back some of the other ones, but maybe they did it because there's just high popularity there and it's easier for them to do that. I know the quesabirria egg roll, that was a big hit, very popular. Of course, the Mickey macaron with the different fillings each year, that one was a hit and it's been selling out too. I think the Sip and Savor Pass was $45 with my Magic Key discount, which means you have to spend roughly $7.50 on each item in order to make it like come out ahead. So anything more than $7.50. So that was pretty easy to do because most of the entree items were like $9 or $8. So spending $7.50 at least on some of these was easy. In fact, the only way you could spend less than $7.50 was by getting a non-alcoholic drink or a dessert. So if you're getting any desserts or drinks that are non-alcoholic from these booths, I'd probably recommend just buying them and saving your Sip and Savor Pass points for the entrees and bigger, more expensive items so that you can come out ahead with your pass and save money by bundling everything. If not, if you wanted to skip the Sip and Savor Pass this year, you can maybe grab like some of your top 3 from the list that you see, maybe some of my recommendations or some of the other people who went and shared their experiences as well. And then you can use the majority of your budget to get some of the special food offerings that maybe are at Lamplight Lounge, or like I said, the Legend of the 10 Spices flatbread over at Pim Test Kitchen. I know there's full-size portions over at Paradise Garden Grill. And then there's one I really wanted to try, which I didn't try. And I think Califood Adventure on Instagram, he tried it and loved it. It was the banh mi hot dog over at Award Wieners. Wanted to try that one too, but didn't get a chance to try it because we just had already eaten so much. So there are other places celebrating the festival this year as well too. Of course, over at Disney's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa, they have a new display in the lobby for the Year of the Snake. And then they also have special foods over at Craftsman's Grill. But I didn't get a chance to go over there. Maybe a little bit later during the festival, I'll be able to chance to go over there and try some of those things. But all in all, I loved it. Had a great time. Lunar New Year Festival is one of my favorites. I would still say that the Festival of Holidays, for the most part, is my favorite festival at DCA. and then Lunar New Year Festival, and then the Food and Wine Festival. And of course, we have the Food and Wine Festival coming up this year very quickly. It's actually going to be starting on February 28th. So not even in the month of March, and we're going to be getting the Food and Wine Festival. So it's going to transition really quickly from Lunar New Year into Food and Wine. But I think that wraps up this week's episode of the 5571 podcast. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. I think it's been a great move moving the podcast to YouTube as well. I've had a lot more exposure with the podcast on YouTube and a lot more listeners than I would have if it was just on regular podcasting platforms. So I really appreciate all of you guys following it over here, leaving comments, etc. And I hope you like the new, visuals that you get when you're watching it rather than just listening to it. And if you are still listening to it, you guys are the OGs from the beginning. So I do appreciate you, and it will still be available on all those platforms for you to listen and enjoy on your commute to work, or maybe in your office on your phone, etc., or maybe while you're working out at the gym. You never know. So, but thank you all for tuning in and for subscribing. Again, if you aren't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, the 5571. You'll find all the podcast episodes there, as well as my new vlogs, updates, and reviews. I've put things into different playlists so that you guys can get started if you are new there. Make sure you're following the audio version of the podcast if that's important to you. You can find it on any podcast platform, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. And then lastly, make sure you follow me on all the social medias at Just Ask Danny. I'm trying to post on Blue Sky, on X, on Instagram. I've been posting on TikTok again. So there's a lot that I'm trying to cover. So if you just search Just Ask Danny, you should be able to find me on one of the platforms, and make sure you're following me on any of those. And you can also email me, email the podcast. You can send the email to danny@justaskdanny.com. If you have any business inquiries, if you want to send a voice memo, so I can feature it in some Q&A episodes on the podcast or Q&A segments, I'd love to do that. So send an email over to danny@justaskdanny.com. But thanks again for tuning in, however that may be, to this podcast episode, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching and listening. Have a great day.